So we bought the land in 1996. It was a tract of land that I had been looking at for years, and it was not for sale forever, till one day it became for sale. I had 24 hours to look at it and give an answer, yes or no. And the interest of the tract is it's just above the Napa Vineyard. The Napa Vineyard was the first one planted in the Napa Valley in 1836 by the founder of Yountville, George Yount. And it's owned by now Vinous, and it has been the source of really great wines through different winery owners and winemakers. So being above it was a good sign. Now, I had only one day to look at it and make a decision. I came with my wife, we walked the land. It was a horrible day and raining and windy. We were drenched after half an hour, but it was a piece of land that had a lot of mystery and mythical, feeling. And it's in a canyon that is right behind Vinous, and in the back is the Mayaca mountain range, and on the other side of the ridge above us is the Promontory vineyard. North of us, our friend Bruce, Vineyard Ranch. It's a very, very special area of the valley. We're fortunate also that being south of the valley, when we bought the land, we didn't know anything about climate change, and we thought actually the land was maybe going to be a little too cold for Cabernet Sauvignon. Turned out to be, it was a blessing, because we're very happy to have the cool air from the San Francisco Bay just flowing through the property all the time. Now, the property is unique in the sense that there is a subfault coming from the West Napa fault line that is right behind us, between Promontory and us. And that fault line, I remember 2014 when we had the earthquake. I can tell you it shook like hell. It was unbelievable, the violence of that. No wonder we're right on the fault line. So there is a fault line, a sub-fault line crossing our property, and there is 3 creeks draining the mountain range. And on the left side of the fault line, the mountain is made out of basalt. One side is abraded by the rain and the carbonic acid, so it's decomposing the basalt into gray sand. And in the canyon, the basalt is covered with clay, red clay. At some place, 8 feet deep red clay that has been washed down by thousands of years of winter rain. So we planted Merlot in that side of the canyon. Now, the first winemaker we had was Helen Turley, and David Hebrew developed the vineyard. And Helen told us at the time, she said, I'm going to make the best Merlot in America here, which was kind of a really bold statement, but the reputation was, at the time, was the goddess, the wine goddess. So I said, okay, I hope she's right. She turned out to be right, but it took many, many years for us to understand that land and farm it appropriately. So the left side of the property, basalt, clay. The right side of the property, just on the other side of the creek and the fault line, is andesite, big mound of andesite covered with volcanic ash. Complete different soil. So on the right side, Cabernet Sauvignon was planted. Left side, Merlot. At the end of the canyon, Cabernet Franc. A really good exposure for the Cabernet Franc because it's protected from the afternoon sun. And we can extend the maturity of the Franc about 2 weeks later than other vineyards, making good Cabernet Franc in the valley. And I chose for today to present a Merlot wine because everything, I'm sure, will be wonderful Cabernet Sauvignon, so let's try to do something different. This has been a difficult child, you know. Everybody told us, don't bother, you crazy. You know, don't bother going Merlot. Just, if you have Merlot, blend it with your Cabernet, sell it as Cabernet blend, you will have such a easier time, you'll make more money, and just don't bother. And our neighbor just below us, Dominus, Christian Wex, I mean, Chateau Petrus, obviously he knows Merlot, made some bold statement back then that it was a waste of time to try to grow Merlot in the Napa Valley. He's right in the sense that Napa Valley is too warm for Merlot, and Merlot requires very specific sites and very specific climatic condition. Unfortunately for him, it happened that the neighbor is making a Merlot that got many, many hundred points. So, and Robert Parker used to call our Merlot the Petrus of the Napa Valley. So we have a kind of a gentle competition on you have to be careful with statements that you make, you know, because you can have an exception that, yeah. So our Merlot is really unique in the sense, I mean, the fact that you have Merlot 100-point, multi-100 point Merlot next to a multi-100 point Cabernet Sauvignon. I don't know any other property in the world that have that. You go to the Pomol Plateau, it's Merlot. You go to the, you know, the Médoc, it's Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, multi-Cabernet Sauvignon. I don't know any other area in the world where you have great Merlot next to great Cabernet Sauvignon. It just happened because of that oddity of the site. We have completely different soil, a completely different 3-degree difference on average between the Cabernet base, the Cabernet Hill, and the Merlot. And the wine is, I like Merlot, it's very aromatic. I grew up in Burgundy. It reminds me a little bit of a Grand Cru Pinot Noir. You know, I think Merlot has those finesse, and I hope you enjoy the wine. This vintage, 2018, beautiful year, no really, as you say, heat spike, no extreme condition, which was perfect for Merlot. The wine was made by Graham McDonald, wonderful winemaker, a terroirist, a farmer, a guy that is anchored to the land, and I grew up in Burgundy where identity of site is the tenet of winemaking, and we try to, nature dictates what of the flavors that we can get. And I believe that if you let nature show Earth's characteristic, you may have a chance of getting greatness in wine. You cannot force yourself. A lot of winemakers have a tendency of having a style and forcing themselves on the land. The land should dictate what can be made.
Thank you, Claude. Awesome.
Thanks.